back here on Jones and Company, speaking with the chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party on the performance of the government over the last year, and we are talking about what we can expect in 2015. Mr. Roberts, we still want to deal with the cost of energy in our country. We have not been proactive in terms of getting the cost of energy down in the minds of a whole lot of people. We know that the government has been talking about dividing BEC into two entities. Is that coming? Is that coming off?
The government announced that it has changed the position with regard to that, and it announced that they are looking at a new model, or not at a new model, but to embrace the model of NAD, that the people who are managing the airport first, they're looking at that model now for BEC. And I think, as I said, they intend to announce shortly what the government's position after going through a elongated process using Price Waterhouse and the accountants and all this sort of thing, so the public tendering and all that sort of thing.
So the government has been spending a whole lot of money on consultancy for BEC, because you've paid for these consultants to do these various reports. Money wasted?
Well, Mr. Jones, you know, you entitled your view on that matter, but you know, when a politician imposes upon itself that he has the knowledge for everything, that is a disaster, as in my viewpoint, okay? You might outline a policy and you say, let's move towards this. But to get down to the brass nuts, you need the experts to assist you in plotting the way.
But you're still shooting in the dark, really, on BEC, because you're not really sure what method you're going to employ to really get BEC to become efficient and at the same time to reduce the cost of energy.
Mr. Jones, I can assure you that when the government announces it, you will be, and all Bahamians will be very happy with what that announcement is going to embrace.
Yeah, but how can that model that is employed by NAD work for BEC, given the archipelagic nature of the Bahamas, where you have some islands that are electrified with small populations, and they aren't able to really get the revenue from some of these islands to run the plants on some of these islands?
Well, Mr. Jones, the government is about to expand the NAD model to embrace Marsh Harbour Abaco, and they're even looking at it to expand to include Exuma as well too. So the NAD model has worked. There's no doubt about it. The Lynden Pinnacle International Airport model has worked. There's no one who challenged that has not worked. Successive governments have agreed that that is the way for it to go.
But it's early innings, as the West Indians would say, because
it's been several years so far, Mr. Jones.
You're not dealing with a highly profitable enterprise.
Well, not only that, it is the model that is being used not only in the Bahamas, but elsewhere in the world. They've used it in the Dominican Republic, they use it in Jamaica, et cetera, and so on. This is not a hybrid for the Bahamas. The privatization of airports has been going on for years.
Yes.
Okay, and that is the model that we are embracing at the Lynden Pinnacle International Airport, and the government announced that it seeks to extend that to include BEC. In fact, what is happening at BTC may be a similar model in that you have Cable and Wireless, they are managing it, but the government, and with the 2%, having the majority interest in it.
So it is clear that based on where we are going in terms of management of these various entities, that the government has pretty much realized that government itself is incapable of running these large enterprises. BEC, the airport, BTC, and the list goes on and on.
Mr. Jones, I don't know if I share your view on that. I tell you, when I served as minister, I was satisfied, and historically, and that the direction in which BEC was going was the right one, and it was a success. The first time ever in the history of BEC, we announced a substantial reduction in the cost of electricity for Bahamians. All right, and that was moving BEC in the right direction. But then we lost the government, and then all hell broke loose.
What caused hell to break
Because
loose?
they
Couldn't be
continue.
just because we lost.
But when they changed the policy, Mr. Jones, yes, they start to impose their policies, Mr. Jones. They allowed BEC, the price of fuel was going up, and they wasn't passing it on. So all of a sudden, BEC found itself burdened with a huge debt. And they still trying to shake loose from that now.
But there are your detractors who will tell you that if you did not decrease the cost of electricity when you did, that BEC would not have been in the cash crunch that it found itself in.
Mr. Jones, those same fellas who said when we announced it, they said it was because what they did that caused us to be able to do it. And they, in fact, endorsed what we were doing. Then they turn around and they say what you said afterward. They're just like a jumping frog all over the place. Don't know their right or their left, where the devil they're going. But I know it very clearly. When I announced that, they said that it was because of their policies that we were able to do what we did in reducing it, and they endorsed it.
Isn't it true that the inefficient equipment that you have in BEC, the inefficient engines that you have, that you have to get rid of these archaic, obsolete engines that are being used today?
Yes, partially.
And that is really
Partially.
the major problem BEC faces.
Partially. Mr. Jones, the government did not maintain the engines. If you have a car and you continue to drive that car every day, day in and day out, month in, month out, you don't change the oil, you don't carry on maintenance, that car is going to stop in the middle of the road with you, won't it? That is what happened at Clifton. They just allow the engines to run until they run right, until they stop. Okay? That's the reality, it's the truth. Read the reports of the experts who came in and reviewed the situation. It was tragic, but that in reality is what happened.
So that's a management problem.
Yes, sir. And the management claimed that they didn't have the money. So their hands were tied. They weren't able to carry the work.
So that's a government problem that the management didn't have the money.
Yes, sir. At the government at the time, most certainly, sir.
So you share responsibility there.
Yes, in that regard, yes, sir.
So you take your share of the responsibility.
Well, when I was there, we provided the money, Mr. Jones. And we also engaged the experts to carry out maintenance on a continuous basis. When we left government, that changed. They got rid of the people that were doing the maintenance and overseeing the maintenance and so on, Mr. Jones. I know this, I know the back of my hand, Mr. Jones, because I live with it. They used to call me Blackout Brad, you know. Then all of a sudden, all that changed when BEC improved. Bingo 2007, and then it started to go downhill.
In recent days, we've seen a report on the web about some corruption that took place at BEC. That there was a significant kickback, apparently, on the purchase of equipment at BEC. It came to light outside the Bahamas. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Oh, yes, very much.
What should happen, Mr. Roberts?
Well, first of all, let me explain to the public what happened. I think they need to know.
Yes.
That during the F&M administration, they had purchased DA number 11 from a company by the name of Alstom. That generator caused BEC all kinds of problems. Then the government went out to bid for D12, and they narrowed the bidding down to two companies, Alstom and a company out of Korea. The board of BEC decided and recommended unanimously that the government agree to the proposal by the Korean company. The matter goes to cabinet. The cabinet, it is announced that the cabinet decided they're going with Alstom. That company that has caused BEC all the problems, the D11, the alternating number 11 caused BEC all kind of problems. The installation of DA12, the second one they purchased, all sorts of problems, and the amount of money that it cost BEC. I raised the matter when I became minister through a communication in the House. And I told Parliament that my review was that the former deputy chairman, Mr. De Aguilar, resigned over the fact that the government decided to go with the Alstom company rather than with the Korea company. And it cost BEC a lot of money. I said, something doesn't smell right here. Something doesn't smell right, and we shall see what you see. And by doggone it, the U.S. government, doing an investigation of the same company, Alstom, uncovered all this information, because what they did in order to get the contract from BEC, they did in the United States, where the U.S. government was involved. And under the arrangement there, under the laws there, they were able to uncover all this information, and in the process, what happened with the company in the Bahamas, with the company elsewhere in the world, all of that came to light. And was disclosed that some $300,000 went to a board member of BEC. Now, I noticed that the then chairman, Barry Farrington, has said that nobody on the board got it. I noticed the minister responsible at the time, Frank Watson, say he didn't know anything about it. Well, I say this to the Bahamian people, that the Attorney General of the Bahamas, via an agreement with the U.S. government, would be able to obtain all the details of that transaction. And very shortly, when she's in possession of it, she will then take the appropriate action and address the matter as need to be addressed in compliance with our Anti-Bribery and Corruption Act.
Is it clear to you or to the U.S. authorities who is the person in the Bahamas who got this kickback?
In the report, they simply refer to them as somebody number 8, something like that, some designation like that. But they did that deliberately. They didn't want it to come out that way. The information will be disclosed to the Attorney General under the exchange information, and you will know who it is.
So the American government...
And they have the details. It was paid in X number of intervals and so much amounts and so forth. All the information they have.
So we should know who number 8 was?
Oh, yes, we will know who number 8 was. And then, of course, they will question number 8, who did number 8 share the money with, if he shared it with anybody. Yeah.
Okay. And you believe that under the Bribery and Corruption Act of the Bahamas, that certain actions should be taken?
The Attorney General will be obliged to move in compliance with that law.
But the Attorney General hasn't moved in compliance with a whole lot of things. There are some other reports, Mr. Roberts, in recent times that have reached the desk of the Attorney General, or at least the Office of the Attorney General. Matters have been referred to by the Parliament to the Office of the Attorney General, and the public hears nothing.
For example, sir, could you assist me?
For example?
Yes, sir.
The National Insurance scandal.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
And others?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm waiting on the information with regard to the NIB matter. I am. And I assume that you were referring to also the what took place leading up to the election in Cat Island and other places and so on.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, we are all eagerly awaiting the response on that, sir.
Mr. Roberts, let's go into something that has been, this is a good segue for crime.
Yes, sir.
In the Bahamas. It is the #1 issue in the minds of a whole lot of people. And I'm sure you probably share that view as well.
I cannot disagree with you, sir. Particularly murder, sir.
Yes.
Particularly murder, yes.
The government hasn't been doing what it should be doing with respect to arresting this decline in the country and this carnage that seems to be going on.
Mr. Jones, there is no doubt that the government, the police is being challenged when it comes to murders.
You think they are overwhelmed, the police force?
Well, Mr. Jones, I want to be careful of what I say, and for deliberate reasons. We seem to have a virus of some kind in our country, Mr. Jones, that has infiltrated the hearts and minds of our young people, where there is no appreciation for the value of human life. That there's been cases that I have come to my attention where someone could go up to somebody in the presence of a whole lot of people and just put a gun to somebody's head, that is anti-Bahamian, that is anti-Christian. Something is radically wrong. That is why I suggest that there's some type of virus that is turned loose among our people, particularly our young people. It is a serious, serious problem, Mr. Jones.
But what is the antidote?
Mr. Jones?
What is the prescription
I say this to you.
to deal with it?
There is a proliferation of guns, and that has been something that has been occupying my mind for some time, and a whole lot of other people, that we have to find a way how to eliminate these guns from our society that seem to, in the mind of young people, to represent power, domination, and whatever else they perceive it to be. And that I realize that we have open borders, but we must find a way to eliminate guns from our society, Mr. Jones. If not, it's going to end up causing the Bahamas a mighty, mighty powerful thing to pay for the fallout from it if we don't do so.
But does the government have the capacity to do it, Mr. Roberts? One of the most important reasons why you elect a government is to secure your borders, is to ensure that you have security. The national security of the Bahamas is in jeopardy, isn't it?
We are being challenged, Mr. Jones. The illegal immigration is one, Mr. Jones. It is being out of hand for some time. And the government has finally decided they're going to do something in a proactive way to deal with it.
Yeah,
but we have our detractors.
Yeah, we've dealt with immigration.
No,
but
Mr. Jones,
we're talking about the proliferation of guns now.
Mr. Jones, they all intertwine, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we're talking about the capacity to police ourselves.
Yes.
The capacity to interdict people who are trafficking in guns.
And the same with drugs as well too, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
It's been going on for a long time. I'm saying they all fall in the same category.
So we are failing in national security.
We have a serious challenge, Mr. Jones. There's no doubt about that.
No, but that is a good explanation. But are we failing in the area of national
Mr.
security?
Jones, you use the words you prefer. I use what I prefer. We are being challenged. It's a serious challenge, Mr. Jones.
But are you are sidestepping my question?
No, sir, I'm not, sir.
I'm asking you if we are failing.
I say we are being challenged, Mr. Jones. And I say we, meaning all Bahamians, not just the government, all, because it affects all of us.
But the government has the responsibility to secure our borders, for national security, to ensure that I am able to walk on the street freely. I saw on JCN television the other night a newscast where people were saying that they want to shop early so that they can get home before dark. That is a sad indictment on our country. And it is an indictment on the government of the Bahamas, isn't it?
Indictment on all of us, Mr. Jones. The government only comprises a handful of people, Mr. Jones. Just a handful of people. It has to be all of us. If we're going to tackle crime, it ain't going to be just a handful of people tackling. It's going to be all of us out to tackle crime, Mr. Jones.
Nobody elected me to do anything. We elected a government. You went before a people and you said that crime was high, was out of control.
Yes.
The number of murders was such.
Yes.
And
that still is the case today.
But in 2.5 going on 3 years, you have not been able to tackle this problem and to get it under control. So isn't that failing?
We are still being challenged, Mr. Jones. Why don't we talk about what we need to do to address the matter, rather than talk about failing or being challenged? What do we need to do to address the matter, Mr. Jones?
We elected a government to tell us what we should be doing.
If you think it is as simple as that, my friend, it isn't. I don't see that that God has given a handful of individuals that kind of knowledge, a repository of knowledge how to address all these matters, Mr. Jones.
But you have the resources to find the answers. I don't have the resources to find the answers, Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Jones, you need the resources to address the matter. You need answers how to address the problem, Mr. Jones.
You have employed consultants for BEC, for BTC, for NAD, for a whole range of issues. For gaming,
Let's talk about something that I feel very strongly about, Mr. Jones,
with
regard to this crime situation.
Okay.
When I served in the Christie administration 2000 to 2007, we spent a great deal of time and energy in coming up and crafting a at-risk program, and we did so in collaboration with the Roman Catholic Church, my church, under Jeff Lloyd, and we started a program in North Andros, and the program was moving in a positive way. Lives were being impacted, and so forth. We did it in collaboration with the IDB, and they provided some funding, et cetera, et cetera. We lost the election in 2007. Mr. Ingram gets up and he says that this program is costing too much money, and the program was brought to an end. It cost more money to keep them in jail than it was in trying to rehabilitate them in that program in Andros. I have been making a plea to my colleagues in the government, let us find the resources to resume this program. We have a serious problem in our midst, in the minds and the hearts of some of our young men and some of our young women. And unless we nip it in the bud, it's going to continue to bite us as it is biting us now.
Simple as that.
I didn't say it is simple, but I'm saying I'm advancing that as a point of view. You have your point of view. The next man has his point of view as well too, doesn't it? Everybody feels they got the ideal solution. I hear Dr. Minnis say he got a solution to the problem. Well, I said to his new chairman the other day, I met him at the pharmacy. I said, my brother, if you got some ideas how to deal with crime, step forward, man. Don't hold it back. We need it now.
But Mr. Roberts, the government has put a significant amount of funds into a lot of things. BAMSI, which is a good program, but it has not put any money into youth development. The Ministry of Youth has a measly budget in terms of a youth development program, a social development program for our youth. It's not, you don't have a heavy investment in it.
That's what I've been advocating, Mr. Jones, the reinstatement of that program with some money to back it up. Yes, Mr. Jones. If the youth represents the future of our country and there is decay in the ranks of the youth, the only way to arrest that is to deal with it head on.
Let's take a break here. This is our final break on the program. We'll come right back.